Wigan Fan TV, a special collaboration show tonight. On the screen alongside my ugly mug is Lee from Rugby League TV. Tonight is the first of what we've started as rugbyleaguemedia.com. So what we've decided to do is put all the best podcasters, vloggers, blogs, shops, all on one website, which is rugbyleague.com. That's something that I've set up, and Lee and his team at Rugby League TV are the first people to come on here. I just thought it'd be good to perhaps try and get some insight into what Lee does at Rugby League TV. And then on Wednesday evening, we've got Rugby League in America podcast coming on. So we're trying to spread the word of Rugby League and an alternative media, because as Lee and I have just been discussing off air, getting into the mainstream media of the RFL is almost a closed door at times. So we're going our own route at this moment in time. So Lee, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join me. Do you want to start by telling us what is Rugby League TV? How did it start, and what is it that you're trying to do at the minute?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. Appreciate you having me on. Rugby League TV is something that I came up with in October last year. I was just working my normal job, didn't really enjoy it, and I thought, you know what, I want to get involved in rugby. I've had a passion for rugby for the last 7 or 8 years. Going down Castleford and watching them play. But prior to that, I did go down when I was a youngster, and I just wanted to get involved. I just thought it's a sport that is completely different to football, and I watched these blokes taking hits week after week and getting straight back up and shaking hands after the game, and it made me laugh when I first moved. I moved to Leeds, and I moved in next door to Ashton Golding, Leeds fullback. And at the time, there was something came out about Wayne Rooney in the paper that he were paying his car cleaner £100,000 a year to clean his Bentley every week or something.
Not a bad job.
Well, exactly. And I saw Ash, and I used to talk to him outside, and he'd be cleaning his car outside, and I think he had a Peugeot 106 or something. He'd be cleaning it every Sunday, gospel, making sure it was spotless. And I just thought, what a contrast. What a contrast. These guys are just normal blokes, normal living blokes. And I wanted to get involved with that. So I thought, I looked around, and Sky don't really promote as much as they probably should, seeing though they've got rights to Super League and to Championship and League One for that matter. And I just thought there's got to be something there. There's a bit of a gap. Rugby AM are making some strides. They've come on leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. And the idea behind it was that I wanted to provide some video content in forms of interviews with players, coaching staff, directors of clubs, backroom staff of clubs. And get their sort of ideas on how the clubs are going and how the seasons are going and what they see as good and bad in the sport. So that's where it kind of came from initially.
I mean, obviously, I've watched a few of your videos. I guess you pretty much started about a similar time to what we did. We're finding our way in this new media and trying all sorts of different things. You spoke about you trying to do these interviews. Do you want to tell on your website a couple of the ones that you've done about worst teammates, because they're quite insightful, particularly the first one that you did?
Yeah, well, I had a friend helping me, Richard Blakeway, down at Normanton Knights. And he's helped me kind of get started because he's an ex-Featherstone Rovers player, ex-Castleford Tigers player. So obviously he's got a few contacts within the game. And we were up at Normanton Knights one night, and he just said, shall I get Oliver Holmes to come down? So he came down, and we kind of had a little bit of a sit-down. We did a serious interview, and we just thought, there's got to be something more than that. Let's get people laughing if we can. So we came up with this idea, worst teammates. And it worked, probably the most of the questions were Oliver's, thinking really. So it were quite a funny one. He were coming up with these questions, and I think probably within the mind that he knew we were going to answer the questions. So yeah, the worst teammates is one that we're really focusing on at the minute. What we want to do is get into more clubs. We're starting to go around more clubs in terms of going to training and speaking to some of the players and coaching staff there. We're going to match days. We were at York City Knights versus Work It in Town yesterday, and we spoke to a number of supporters and a couple of club officials. And because we'd done that, we didn't really have much time left to speak to the players, so we got a couple of words, but that were it. But yeah, essentially what we're looking to do from a fan perspective as well is on a match day, we want to give away prizes. So we came up with this concept of win a pie and a pint. And what we're looking to do is we get a fan from each team, put them against each other, and it's just a knockout quiz. So you've got the first one. We've got 3 questions. The winner, first 1 to 2, obviously then wins a pie and a pint, and then they're entered into a draw for a 2019 home shirt. And then on the back of that, we've just got a general knowledge quiz, which is answer as many questions as you can within a minute. And the person or the top 20 people with the most answers at the end of the season will also go into that draw for a 2019 home shirt. So we're trying to get people interacting with us in that respect. We've already given away a home shirt for this season. A pair of Magic Weekend tickets for this season went as well. We've got loads of social media going on in terms of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and obviously YouTube.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Obviously we're broadcasting, I guess, mainly to Wigan fans tonight deliberately. So, how can if Wigan fans want to find you? How can they find you? I guess the usual Facebook, Twitter, and then obviously the website's on the screen at this moment in time. Yeah,
the website's on screen. In terms of Facebook, we are at Rugby League TV Show, and then everything else we're just at Rugby League TV. And I mean, it's worth mentioning that we're very much in its infancy. Like you mentioned earlier, we only started October last year, and the last probably 6 to 8 months has been spent finding out how to best broadcast stuff and get it out there to people. So that's something we kind of feel like we've got nailed down now. And over these next few weeks, you'll start to see a bit more regular content in terms of video content, because there's plenty of news that goes on the website, but I think it's the video content that we're all about, really. Hence the name Rugby League TV.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody, obviously, lots of people watching at this moment in time. The links are on the top of the Facebook page as well for anybody that wants to click and check out the stuff that Rugby League TV have done at the moment. I think your pie and a pint is obviously going to go down if you ever do venture to Wigan. It's going to go down really well. For anybody that's watching, if you want to subscribe to these videos in future, just type Wigan in the comments and that'll automatically subscribe you. And I would definitely, obviously, recommend check out Lee's stuff. We're trying to boost the alternative media of Rugby League. I think there's a lot of people doing some really excellent stuff, and we just perhaps are shunned away a little bit by the RFL. So that's our aim, I guess, at this moment in time, to showcase the stuff that Lee's doing. And before we lose all the viewers, Lee, by telling people who you support, do you want to sort of break that to all the Wigan fans, and we'll get it out of the way, and then maybe talk about that?
Yeah. So, I'm a Castleford fan. So that's probably going to lose a few viewers, I would expect. I'll apologise first and foremost for that.
No problem. I mean, in terms of Castleford, obviously we've done 2 preview shows so far for Castleford, with Rob, who sort of features on Super League Pod every now and again. One of them obviously was pointless because the game got called off, and the second one was obviously for the DW game, which one of Wigan's best performances of the year. We obviously play you in a couple of weeks' time. QLT now at Castleford looks to be an inspired signing, mid-season signing. What were your thoughts on the Warrington game last week?
Well, I mean, for me, Cass were outstanding. Started off quick, and I think Callum Turner and Jake Truman sort of interacted really well right at the very beginning, and that's where our first 2 tries come from. After that, we went to sleep a little bit, and Warrington have been on fire, haven't they, recently?
Unfortunately, we know that.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing with them is you can never kind of write them off, and they came back with 4 tries, but we managed to get it back to 20-all at half time, and it was a tough slog. And I think I saw a lot of Cass fans sort of complaining about Phil Clark on social media, saying that he'd written us off and that we were chasing game all game. But for 61 minutes of that game, we were behind, so we were chasing game. Yeah. And I think people kind of missed that. As much as we played really well and probably better than we put a lot into that game because of the number of injuries we had. I think people kind of, and it'll go for every team. Everybody thinks that the commentators against their team, don't they, and whatnot. So, but yeah, I thought we played really well, and I think it maybe is a bit of a turning point season for us because we've had a bit of an up and down season. But having said that, we're only a few points now behind Saints. And
you got the game in hand, obviously that comes up against.
Yeah, we've got
Wigan
a game.
in a couple of weeks.
For me, it's a tough one because Saints have flown this year, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I think I expected that when I saw them in semi-final against us down at Weldon Road. They were very good, and I didn't expect them to come out this year. I think Justin Holbrook's got them, popping and cracking there. They'll take some stopping this year. And to be fair, I backed them at the beginning of the season for the grand final as well. So,
I mean, we'll touch on this in a second. I mean, one of the main features, I guess, of the show today is the fact that the England squad was announced today, and we'll get on to talking about the England squad. And surprisingly, obviously, Luke Gale's injured, but no cast players in there. One thing I want to ask you about, Lee, from I guess, if I can call you an outsider as a non-Wigan fan, is your thoughts on I guess everything that's been breaking so far at Wigan. Joel Tomkins today officially announced that he's resigned from Wigan. Well, that came out in the Hull KR statement that he offered his resignation to Chris Radlinski. He's gone to Hull KR. What's your thoughts from an outsider on that of the Joel Tomkins situation? One, the video, and then do you think Wigan have acted right? Do you think this? I mean, it's not a punishment, is it? Because he's resigned. It just seems. Well, I won't influence your answer. Go on, you tell me your thoughts on that.
For me, it's been a very interesting last 4 or 5 weeks at Wigan, hasn't it?
Interesting, politely putting it.
Quite a lot going on, and in terms of Joel Tomkins resigning, has he resigned or has he been sacked? And has he been told that he's had to resign? I can't see someone who was playing just because now they're not playing, turning around and saying, "Well, I'm going to resign." So I don't think it's just as clear cut as that. I'm surprised he's gone to OKR. I'll be honest with you. And the only reason I say that is I just didn't expect OKR to sort of go for someone like that. And although I expected to see him, and no, I'm not being disrespectful to any teams here, but I expected to see him still over that side of Pennine, maybe with Salford or Widnes or something like that. And I just didn't expect it. It kind of came as a curveball to me. He's a decent enough player, isn't he? I don't think he's pulled up any trees for Wigan since he's
No, I mean, I think that would be the big point that Wigan fans would make is since he's returned from rugby union, you could probably count the good games he's had perhaps on one hand. He was getting into a bit of form at various times, and then he'll get injured and you miss him for a few weeks. But he's been playing just as a big middle, really, I guess, at the moment. That's the only way to describe him. So, I mean, Hull KR obviously probably bound for those qualifiers. As much as they perhaps don't want to accept that. So you're going to have Joel Tomkins playing in the qualifiers, which is going to be interesting. It feels like a bit of an end of an era from a Wigan point of view, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Sam leaving, Sean Wayne leaving, Joel Tomkins gone, John Bateman going to Canberra, which is yet to be official, but is on the verge of being official.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe's just put in a message here, which is... Hey lads, we're on a union-based site via Facebook. We do a weekly live broadcast for around 4 months, so it's in its infancy. I've been talking about the Union League hybrid that has developed in Union over recent years. Love what you're trying, and best of luck. Be really interesting, I think, to get in touch with you, Joe, about that, and perhaps Lee will get in touch with you as well. I mean, the hybrid game as such was something that was developed in Australia, and I don't know too much about it, but they've tried to merge the two games. You play league in one half, and then when you get to the opposition's half, then you start Union. It seems very complicated, but I'm sure it's something that will take off. But thanks for watching, Joe. What one player that is leaving Wigan and hasn't been announced yet, like I said, is John Bateman. He's in the England squad. That's one thing that we're going to discuss this evening, Lee. The England squad being picked this morning. First of all, your overall thoughts on the squad as a whole?
I'm shocked Danny Richardson isn't in it.
I agree. Even as
first point, I would say on overall, it's pretty much what I'd have expected. I'm glad Jake Connor's in there. I think he's had a really good season so far. I know he's not very well liked, but I think he's had a really good season so far.
I think he's probably had this sort of new, not found respect, but I think ever since Radchford came out and called him a grub, it was sort of like, well, yeah, he is. He's not trying to be anything that he isn't, and that's fair enough to him now. Yeah. I mean, we've got him on Saturday. It's always interesting coming up against Jake Connor, but yeah, sorry, I'm sort of taking. I agree with you on Jake Connor, though. I think he does deserve to be in there.
I think that the rest of it's much of a muchness. I know Tommy Makinson and Luke Thompson are obviously debutants, and Thompson's been good for. I mean, he was good towards the end of last year, when he very good, and then this year he's been brilliant. So I'm not surprised to see him in there. I'm not surprised to see Makinson, and he's been good for a few years. So the rest of it, I'm a little bit surprised to see Ryan Hall. I'll be honest.
Yeah, certainly not picked on form, has he?
No, and I thought maybe Josh Charnley might have sneaked in there.
Yeah,
and I know that we've had this little bit of controversy about Tomkins being in this video, but for me, without Zach Hardaker fit, not fit, sorry, available, I think Tomkins is the best we've got. Although I do think Ratchford's been playing well for Warrington. I mean, Johnny Lomax can play full back as well, can't he? So I think there's a good balancing squad. I think there's a decent balance in it, but it'd be interesting to see how we get on, because we've obviously got this three game test at the end of the year as well. So it'll be a good warm up for that.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously strayed. I mean, the Sam Tomkins issue, I think if we would have had this conversation 3 weeks ago, I would have been banging the drum for Sam Tomkins to be in that squad. And I think at this moment in time, when the squad's actually being announced, and you've got Widdop, Lomax, Ratchford, and even Connor in the form that they're in, I think he's gone missing too many times for me, Sam Tomkins, this year. He's played well in some games. He basically, I think, pretty much won the Challenge Cup game that against Hull KR. He inspired us, and we won that game. But yeah, it's an interesting call from Bennett, I think, on Tomkins that he's not got back in there yet. Whether he gets into the squad, like you say, at the end of the year. Anybody that's watching, if you let us know your thoughts on the England squad as well. And I guess there's some notable absentees, like we said, about Cass. Obviously, Luke Gale missing, I guess, gives George Williams a chance, you think?
Yeah, and do you know what? I don't think George Williams has had his best season. I think he's been okay.
He's very lucky to be in that squad.
Yeah, I think he's been okay. He's not. I would have picked him, but to be honest with you, I mean, he's a good enough player, isn't he? And he probably should have had a bit more of a chance when the World Cup were on. I thought he deserved a bit more of a chance then. And he's not pulled any trees up this season. I think it's been a funny season, really. You know, we've not had many standout players as such from all the other teams, but Saints. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned John Bateman leaving. John Bateman's going to be a big miss to Wigan. He's obviously in England squad, and I'm expecting him. He's going to play centre.
I'll tell you, that's a good sort of segue to actually. Let's go through these. I tried to pick what options we've got. So number one, Widdop, Ratchford, Lomax, or Connor. Who'd you go with? Bearing in mind you've got the half-backs to go in as well. I'm just going through the backs because I think the forwards we're pretty well covered with the forwards, and you can pick a combination of whoever, and it'll probably be a good side. Who would you go for at full-back out of those four options?
I would probably go for Ratchford at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, Ratchford's had an excellent season for Warrington. I think. I mean, my shout on there, I think, would be Widdop. I think he'll carry on with Widdop at fullback from his impressive World Cup when he moved there. And we'll obviously come to the halves in a second. Wings, you've got a choice of Hall, McGillvary, and Makinson. Do you give Makinson an opportunity? Do you think?
Well, I would, but will he? I don't know. I mean, you mentioned Widdop there, and I think he will pick Widdop, but again, I'd pick Ratchford. I'd pick McGillvary and Makinson here. I don't think Hall's done enough for me, not even over the last probably 3 years. I thought he was lucky to be in England squad.
It's probably his international record that's got him in, hasn't it? You know, is the amount of tries that he scored at international level. Centre's a strange one, isn't it? Bateman at centre still?
I mean, Percival certainly deserves to be in there, and I think Bateman will be in there. I think Connor's going to get a run in halves. I would expect that's where he's going to get a run.
Okay. So then halves, I've already taken Widdop out of there. So I think I'm stuck with Williams and Lomax in there. I'd like to see Lomax get an opportunity in the halves. He's done so well at Saints, as much as it kills me to say that. But would you go with Lomax and Williams, or are you going to go Connor and Williams?
I'd give Jake Connor a chance. I think he's proven this season that he can play anywhere really and be extremely effective. I think Johnny Lomax has had a really good season. I probably would go with them two to start. And I don't think this is what he will pick, but yeah, I think I'd go with them two to start.
Stephen Fisher says here, not sure Elliot Whitehead should keep getting picks. Yeah, to be honest, I've not watched much of Whitehead this year in the NRL. I must confess. I mean, he didn't have the best of World Cups by his standards, I don't think, Elliot Whitehead. But maybe the fact that he's in playing in NRL gives him perhaps a opportunity above the likes of Liam Farrell, I guess, who's one of the forgotten men of international rugby at this moment in time. I still think he's our best second row, along with John Bateman, from a Wigan point of view. Lee, we'll finish tonight with a question that we spoke about a while ago, which is a really, really difficult question to answer, and we spoke about it off air. Is come to the end of the season, Man of Steel awards, Ben Barber wins Man of Steel. I mean, we're not even going to attempt to argue that. But who would you say have been the other standout players, and who would your two other contenders be for the Man of Steel voting at the end of the year?
I think Jake Connor should be in with a shout. I think he's been excellent for Hull. It's a funny one because, again, Saints have been brilliant. They've had some really good performers. LMS has been brilliant. Johnny Lomax has been brilliant. Zeb Tyre has been brilliant.
Luke Thompson.
Thompson, Barber, Roby. Danny Richardson, for me, I think has been outstanding this season for such a young lad. But we talk about other clubs. I've written a few names down. I've written John Bateman down. I don't think he'll be in with a shout. I've written Sam Tomkins down again. I don't think he'll be in with a shout.
No,
I think for me, he's been consistent for probably the last 3 years. Paul McShane, he's been excellent for us this year. He's obviously injured at the minute. But a couple of others. Harvey Lebeck's been good at Warrington. Josh Charnley, obviously. Ratchford, Darryl Clark. So I think, who do I think will be?
It's really difficult to pick sort of standout players other than Ben Barber at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think because he's set the bar so high, it's or maybe the others are just not performing to that level. If you know what I mean.
We're
not playing the same rugby the last year, and we had 2 or 3 in there, and I think it's one of them. I think Danny Richardson's got to be in with a shout, got to be. And I'd be surprised if James Roby were far away from that 3 as well.
It's almost, I would say maybe the young player of the year is probably a bit more exciting, isn't it? With Richardson, Thompson, those kinds of players, Livette. That's probably a more exciting call come the end of the year. No, sorry, go on, Lee.
I was just going to say there's more of a chance for each of them to grab it there, whereas this one, it almost certainly seemed like a done deal after month 1.
Yeah. Joe just comments that the guy who was talking about his Union League thing, 3 blokes, a ball and bod. I guess bod Brian O'Driscoll is a guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading acronyms wrong and it's very obvious, but perhaps that's Brian O'Driscoll. I'm not too sure. Maybe you can let us know, Joe. Lee, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Hopefully it's given a bit of an insight to people about what you're doing at Rugby League TV. And like you say, it's very much in its infancy and it's growing. And if a few Wigan fans can tune in and promote what we're doing is what I keep branding as alternative media. It's awash with excellent talent. From the particularly the podcast element. There's not too many of us doing videos at the moment, but I think that'll grow as well as the software becomes more accessible. And I think just from the people that we get watching this, it's obviously something that people are interested in. So, Lee, thank you so much for joining me this evening. In 2 days' time, we'll continue the collaborations with Nate from Rugby League in America. I can't imagine too many people are going to watch that live. It's 11 o'clock at night or 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. Eastern. We're doing that very much for the American audience, and then we'll repurpose that. So I've got a late night in a couple of nights' time talking about Rugby League in America, which is a fascinating concept as it is. I think a lot of people will be really surprised about how much the game's actually awash already in America. There's so many teams playing at grassroots, and Nate's doing a fantastic job in promoting that. So, Lee, best of luck for the rest of the season. I'm sure we'll catch up at some point as the season goes on. And it's rugby-league.tv is a website to find all of the videos on there. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And thanks a lot again, Lee.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Cheers.
No worries.